Hello everyone. It's been a little bit since I made the last year list. It was before the legendary patch, before the new accessories, and before the patch that changed the cardi. So I want to make a new tier list, but I don't like how tier lists are mixed for like everything that is PvE, small scales, GVG, ZVZ. So I wanted to make something different. I found this graph that is kind of a tier list, but it has like the 2D directions, like the cardinal directions that can help like define something a little bit better than other things. So I decided to make this that is gonna be good or bad. It's gonna be similar to A, B, C, D, F tiers, right? And GVG and ZVZ, so it's gonna be easier to put like, oh, this class is good and better on ZVZ, bad and better on Tanana. So I just want to share my thoughts. Let's start. So the SNS one is the Cursed Templar, or just the Templar that heals, right? Is still a very solid class. It definitely is still above average. It works really well in both GVG and both ZVZ. I feel like it works better in smallerish scales with single target. It does a lot of work, like because it survives a lot because there's less people hitting you in GVGs, and it can do a lot of single target damage. And taking away single target players in GVG is very important. Like taking away one from 48 is a lot more significant than taking like one from 280, right? From players. So I think it's more focused on the GVG side, but it's also very solid as like AoE DPS or even single target DPS or just overall tank slash healer on ZVZ. But I still think it's more pushed towards the GVG, so I'm gonna leave it around here. I might touch on it a little bit later. The SNS Greatsword is still like one of the best support slash tank slash linker and even bruiser to damage possibly in the game. It fits well in GVG, fits well in ZVZ. It's just that good. It's gonna be here because it's really good. It's almost a must and fits both spectrums. The SNS Dagger, I have seen more and more people playing this, but at the same time, I think this is a not really good time to play it anymore because I think Evasion just took a really big hit on the last few patches, and I don't think it does well in ZVZ. In GVG, it's kind of playable from what I know. I would need to like look deeper into the class, but I would probably rate it like more GVG folks, probably almost entirely GVG folks, something like this, and like lower hate because it's Evasion, and I don't think it's a really good evasion combination. Like evasion is not in good spot in my opinion, and this combination just doesn't have any benefits from evasion. If you're gonna play SNS, in my opinion, just play endurance most of the time. SNS staff, I think it's interesting, but I also think it's not a really solid combination of weapons, so I'm gonna be dropping it around bad as well. So something probably around here. I mean, it's staff, so it's more focused on ZVZ. I imagine it can be something around here. SNS bow. Somebody told me, I already said that before, that this is really niche good to like capture stones and objectives, but honestly, I don't see that much of the potential that people told me on it. So I personally gonna leave this on a lower tier, like around bad. I think it can be like CC-ish, but at the same time, if you're gonna do that, I think I would just rather play with like SNS Greatsword or SNS Spear or SNS Wand. So I'm gonna be dropping it around bad, to be honest. SNS Crossbow, that's a funny one because it would be like around here probably before, because it's like one of the best was one of the best AoE clears with Cardi, right, on the ZVZ and even GVG, but after the nerf, like it's literally dead. It's kind of crazy how much that single change on a single like SNS passive just killed the class. So right now it's definitely around the bad spectrum because there are better things, but I still think the Cardi Expo with the tankiness of the SNS has some niche. You can use that to clump people together. You can use that like on chokes and still gonna be helpful and do a decent chunk of damage, not even close to what it was before, but like it can disrupt a lot of big groups. So I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it's near as good as it was before, and I definitely think it's gonna be way more focused on ZVZ, but it can still be used on GVG. I probably would put something around here I feel very comfortable with this, because I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever, and I think it's playable on the niche of ZVZ/GVG situations, on chokes and like blobs of clumps of people, right? The SNS Spear is a funny one, because I didn't rate this very high before. It was like around average here on the middle, but the more I look into it, the more I think it's really strong. And I think with the SNS Expo falling out of like meta, the SNS Spear is gonna have even more room to breathe, because before the classes that deleted clumps, that would be the staff or the spears, would have to compete with Cardi, and Cardi would basically delete the whole clump by itself. So right now that we don't have Cardi, the other class is gonna have to take care of those clumps, those big amount of people, and I think the SNS Spear is a good fit to also help clear it out, just because Spear by itself is a great like AoE bomb damage weapon, but the passive of the roar, the agony, the AoE thing from the SNS with the Spear is mega strong. I think it's really strong in GVG and ZVZ, but definitely a little bit more to the ZVZ side, so I'm gonna put it something around here, similar to the SS1 on tier. Let's see. One bow, the Seeker, got nerfed, but to be honest, it's still the best healer in the game. There's no competition really. It's just that good. I'm gonna be putting. I just didn't want things to overlap, but you probably can see that this was the SNS. I'm gonna put a little bit up here. Let's try to put them together like this. I know the good is on top of it. I wish it was a bit further away, but it is what it is. It's the website. But yeah, there's nothing that can beat the Seeker. It's still the best class for healing ZVZ, and GVG, it is what it is. One staff. Now there's a funny one. With proper peeling from your linker and your healers, it can actually do quite a bit. But I don't think it's that strong anymore. Simply because a lot of people it is a class that struggles with classes that try to explode you, and right now there's a lot of things in the game that are doing that. The crit is really high from the new weapons, and the base stats and everything is really hard to survive as one staff, in my opinion. It's the same thing as Liberator. I think it's in GVG it's gonna struggle, but on ZVZ is similar to Liberator. It has a lot of room to do more things. I think the Liberator is gonna end up being better on ZVZ, but the one staff is gonna be a little bit better on GVG. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's that good, so I'm gonna be leaving something around here probably. On the same note, I want to put the Liberator around, no, definitely all the way here, something like that. It's weird because it's really good on ZVZ, but not that great at all in GVG, so it's a really hard class to put. Like, to me would be something like this. They're like playable right now, but they are definitely not the best and need some like party setup to, you know, just survive and be able to do stuff. So maybe something like this, like they're both aligned on the same. Maybe one staff's a little better because it's a little less more independent. I'm not sure, to be honest. I feel like they're very similar-ish on this style. It's just that one staff has a lot more self-sustain compared to the bow staff, but the bow staff has the reset for the meteors, which leads to having better AoE with Belandir. So it's an interesting one to analyze. The one dagger is in a weird situation because evasion, like you said, is not in the best situation right now, in my opinion. But I think it's still really solid. You can play on GVG for single targets, it's gonna work well. You can play on ZVZ for AoE targets, and it's gonna do really well as well. I think right now it fits more the ZVZ niche though. Personally, I always enjoy playing one dagger more on the ZVZ niche due to the AoE poison, the crit chance, and everything is being really good nuker compared to like SNS1, which is really good. But I think when you compare both, the one dagger has a lot more tools to do AoE damage, big AoE damage. So I'm gonna rate it something around here as well. It's worse than those in my opinion, but it's like still really solid. The one X-Bow is a funny one because it has been getting more and more popular, but just due to the PvE of the touch stacking. On the PvP, I still have not seen anyone on my server or like region running this seriously. I have seen some people running this on PvE or starting to run this on PvE, the Fury, but personally I don't love it. I think it's a fun class slash niche and can remove a lot of can be the mana drain class, right? Can be pretty pesky, but I don't think it has the burst potential, neither the sustain potential of other class. So it's a weird mid-term that doesn't really accomplish much. I don't think it's really good in ZVZ, but I think on GVG as a mana drainer it has some potential, so I'm gonna leave it something around here as well, because I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's totally unplayable, just niche. The one Spear is an interesting one. I think Spear is in a good position right now, and I think one is in a decent position, so it's two really strong weapons, but at the same time it's not a very common combination. It's a very odd one. You can use the Spear for the damage part, and the one as like kind of a sustain-ish part and buffer for extra damage. But then again, if you're gonna just play one Spear, I think SNS Spear does similar-ish. It's just, I think one Spear is not that good of a combination, but I think it can do well, so I'm gonna be putting it exactly at the middle actually, because I think it can do well in, no, a little bit more to the ZVZ. It's just Spears are too good in ZVZ to pass on the ZVZ side of it. I think something like this, yeah, that's what I would rate it. The GS Dagger on ZVZs, it can be useful. It clears the people that go inside of your Zerg. You're like picking the flanks, picking the annoying wind daggers that go inside of your flank, you know. I think it's a really strong class for picking, but I think it's much stronger on a scenario that have less players, so something like a GVG's. I think GS Dagger has a lot more potential and a lot more playability than ZVZ. That's why I would rate it a lot more GVG sided. I think it's mega strong right now, and mega strong because more hit got even added to the game. Of course, that's the bad part as well, because it uses Dagger, so you use Evasion, and with more hit, it also gets a buff because it can hit more daggers, more Evasion users, but it can also get hit more often. So it is a trade, of course, but I think it end up getting like benefits. Yes, it's always gonna appreciate being able to hit their targets, because their condition is usually just being able to land the hit, land the CC, and slam the guillotine or the rest of the GS combo, right? So I'm gonna be rating it pretty high actually. I think it's something like here. Yeah, that would be comfortable for me. GS Spear Gladiator. I still think it's the winner of the patch. I still think it's one of the best classes in the game right now. It has all the benefits from the buffs from the GS and the Spear. It has the benefits of the passives from those, which are usually really good, really solid. It's a good combination because you both use melee, so they can like have good synergies and easier to optimize status. And on top of that, it can be played both in GVG scenarios, which you can go as more single target-ish and focus on those evasion pesky flankers, or it can be used on ZVZ as a more of a clump bomber with the Spear. So it's very solid regardless. I would definitely rate it like S+. Probably I would change this like to something like this, you know. They're all similar on the spectrum, don't take me wrong. I think they're all really close. I'm just putting them around here because I think the Spear is always going to be more aligned to the ZVZ. It's just that good of a clump stomper. So I think this makes more sense. GS Bow. I still have no clue. I don't even know the name of this class. I have seen people running this a few times. It's very niche because you can do a lot of funny things with the reset of the bow with the Greatsword. You can be really fast because you have a lot of dashes. But I still think it's niche. On ZVZ, I don't see how it would perform better than other things. On GVG, I can imagine how it can do some things and fit some niches, but I don't think it's that good either, since it's, you know, it's a class combination that is really odd. I'm gonna be putting something around here as well. I think it's gonna be better on GVG, but it has a flash wave, I guess, for the ZVZ, and the devastation smash for the CC in AoE, maybe. I think it's actually similar to the SNS dagger. I would put something around here. Let's see. Okay, this is another one that I have no clue how to rate. It's the GS staff. I really hope I'm wrong on those. I always say that. I hope someone brings, like, creates something different, like the theory, right? That some people already start exploring for the PV and manage to get, like, insane damage numbers. I really hope someone managed to find some niche thing that you can explore and make this class viable, or, like, stronger, or find some hidden combo. But personally, I have not seen it yet, so that's why I'm rating it low, because I have not seen any potential player using it. But I really hope I'm wrong on those, actually, because I really like the off-meta stuff. But GS staff, I imagine you can do something with high focus, maybe some fast kills with, like, the Thunderbolt and stuff like that, but it's very niche. It can play as AoE, I guess. With the Greatsword, you're gonna get hit, and with high focus, you get hit. So maybe you can do that with the meteors to get, like, value on hit. You get a bunch of evasion targets, and you also get skill damage boost from the sword. You can proc the heavy from the sword. So maybe it has some niche. I would imagine it's more focused on ZVZ. So I'm gonna put something around. It's weird because it has also the GS, so it could be using GVG, but I'm gonna rate it something around here as well. Alright, GS ARCHBOSS I have only seen once, and it's been, like, I think it was the end of tier 1 or the start of tier 2, someone playing this seriously, and it was interesting because it was using the ARCHBOSS and was not missing a lot of attacks. It had a little bit of evasion from the ARCHBOSS, and it had a lot of hit, like I said, from the Greatsword, and it had the mobility from the Greatsword. So it was like dashing, keeping the momentum of the attack speed with Da Vinci and the other things from the ARCHBOSS, having a little bit of evasion. It was a really weird but interesting mix. It had, like, a very distinct playstyle, and I hope to see more of this, but I have not seen anyone playing this seriously again. I imagine because it's not that good. I imagine it's a lot more single target focused, like a lot more. I cannot see this being played in ZVZ at all, but I think it's an interesting one, actually, that I hope people explore a little bit more. I'm gonna be rating it similar-ish to the other ones. I think SNS Dagger has a little bit more potential because it's unique. I'm not sure on this one, to be honest. I'm gonna be putting something like this for now, but all of those are very, like, judged on guesses. The GS one, that's a funny one, because if you put it as support, it's still really strong, and I probably would rate it really high here, both on ZVZ and GVG. And if you put it as DPS, it's a lot weaker in my opinion, but it has a lot of potential. Like, you can get some really insane stats. You can get, like, good skill damage boost, good attack speed, good hit. You have, like, this very good heavy. It helps a lot on the things that the one sometimes lacks, right? The base damage as well. So I could rate it higher for DPS, but I think the support, the linker side is still a lot stronger because it has buff duration, it has a lot of self-buff, self-healing, right? I think it's a really fun combo that I have seen a lot of people using more and more, not as DPS. So if I'm gonna rate it as the main thing, which is support, I definitely would rate something like this. It's around S tier to A plus tier, and as DPS I would rate something like middle here, around here, with probably one dagger a little bit worse than one dagger, around A to B plus. But as support I probably will live here. Spear Dagger, funny one. It's just really strong both in GVG and ZVZ. It shines in ZVZ, of course, but it's still very solid on GVG. So it's a really hard weapon to rate, even through the evasion is kinda nerfed that it got. All the daggers got a little bit nerfed with this patch of the legendaries. It still can do a lot, and now it can hit a lot because it got also the hit buff, so it's another one of those that lost a little bit but gained a little bit. So I think it's Spear Dagger right now, since Cord got nerfed, is one of the best AoE AoE, fast AoE killers, right? Fast clump destroyers. So I probably would rate it the highest out of all the weapons, maybe even S, something like here. But I think something like here's mega solid actually for it. I feel very comfortable with this. But it still can be played on GVG, don't take me wrong. I just think it shines way too much on ZVZ though. Spear X-Bow. Have only seen this once. The idea was jumping with the fear of the spear and then spinning. It's very interesting, but very niche. I can see that working both GVG and ZVZs in a way. Maybe if you have the Bellinger spear and the Corgi X-Bow, you can do something fun, like jump in the middle of everyone, fear everyone, and then Corgi spin and then clump everyone again. So it can be like a mega clumper, you know, like a very, very solid engaged clumper. But then you can do a similar thing with SNS Greatsword with just the Bellinger shield. So it's a very interesting one because it's a lot more squishy, of course, than that. I don't think it's good. I think it has potential. It can be played in niche case. I don't think it's good. I think if you're gonna try to clump something as well, like I said, just play the Greatsword SNS or even the SNS X-Bow, I guess, nowadays. So I'm gonna be rating something like here as well. I think it's gonna be something like here, yeah, because it has similar-ish functions, just worse in every aspect though. Staff Dagger. Staff Dagger is a class that I always treated poorly. Even though I know it's strong and I have rated strong, I always thought it was pretty weak. But I think with the recent changes on the legendary, the base damage is really high right now. The hit is high right now. So I think it's just like everything else here sits in a really solid position. You can play both in GVG and ZVZ and it's gonna be a solid weapon. I think this one is one of the most like malleable, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's one of the best classes to pick in most scenarios in the game. It's gonna be decent PvE, GVG, ZVZ. This is a very solid class. I probably would rate it something close to the GS one there as well. I think Spear is better. Then I think it's something like Staff Dagger with GS Sword, similar there. I'm gonna pull everything a little bit back so I can fit everything. So I just want to put something like this here. I think they're on similar notes. I'm just trying to align things a little bit to how I feel. SNS Spear, by the way, I didn't comment anything, but it's a really good class on resist to pick up stones and objectives. So you could argue that's better on GVG, but I think it can shine on ZVZ. I think it can do both roles. I would argue that it's even stronger on ZVZ because, for example, for Castle Siege, which is a lot more players hitting you, the SNS Spear, the resistance can be even more meaningful than a GVG, but it can fit both roles really well. It's just very solid. I just want to comment a little bit on that. Yeah, I think it should be something like here. Staff Spear, niche that I don't know. I can imagine maybe on ZVZ can do something, so I'm gonna rate it something similar like this. I'm gonna try to not put things together because I think it looks a little bit visually better. I think those are all similar. Yeah, something like this, maybe a little bit more behind. Yeah, I feel comfortable with something like this so far. Staff X-Bow, I think it's also another niche that I cannot comment. I have never seen this. I think this is the most niche class combination. This gotta be, right? Staff X-Bow, I don't think I have ever seen this combination. Not even for PvE or memes. Bow Dagger. Oh my god, that's an interesting one. I think the buffs are actually solid, like from the last patch, right? I actually think it's decently strong. Like, it's not OP, it's not mega viable, but it's viable. It's like playable, actually. It finally is in a more decent spot. Of course, it's still not good, But I think it's a reasonable spot right now, because with the hit, with the range and everything that we have currently in the game, I think this class is very solid. You just need to, it's very single target, folks, but you can do some ZVZ stuff with Flash Wave, kinda. I suppose you do have some AoE abilities on it. It's just that it's been so long since I have been seeing X-Bow, oh sorry, not X-Bow, Bow Daggers. It's been a while. I think it's more GVG oriented though. I probably would rate it something like here, because it's more independent and has a self-sustain, a little bit of self-sustain, but you lose the self-sustain nowadays, right, with the buff, so it's gonna struggle a little bit. I don't think it's bad. I think it's more towards the good. Like, you can play it. I just don't think it's as good as the other combinations with Dagger right now. I think it fits something like that right now. I'm pretty content with that. Bow Spear. I think this is also niche. I'm just gonna put it with the other niche things and on ZVZ. Bow Scout. Oh man, I wonder how Scout is doing. I have only seen one Scout before and he swapped, so I think the class was not doing that good. Probably someone... I don't have enough experience to judge this one at all, I think. But I probably would put this little bit lower Bow Dagger, I imagine. Because the thing is, Bow Dagger have tools to deal with things. Bow X-Bow doesn't have tools to deal with anything. So it's basically similar-ish to a Bow Dagger, has more burst than a Bow Dagger, but has less survivability than a Bow Dagger. So it's really hard to pull it off. And I think it's definitely more focused on the GVG side as single target. I cannot see X-Bow doing much on ZVZ. Even with Flash Wave from the bow as well, I don't see it doing that much, because you're not gonna have the crit increase, I guess, from the daggers. I don't think it's that strong. I don't think it's that good. I'm gonna rate it with the same feeling that I get from the one X-Bow, something like here. X-Bow Dagger, finally, right? Let's see where the X-Bow Dagger... I think one spear should be a bit behind, something like here. The X-Bow Dagger. Where should I put the X-Bow Dagger? Honestly, in my opinion, it struggles on ZVZ a little bit. It's not bad, it just struggles a little bit. But on GVG, it shines really hard. It shines as well as GS Dagger, if not better. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest DPS classes in the game. Of course, it requires a lot of inputs per second to play this class. It's a really quick class. It requires a lot of like skill combinations, but I think it's one of the strongest class DPS wise in the game. I'm willing to bump the Spear Dagger to be like the strongest ZVZ class right now, but I'm willing to put the X-Bow Dagger as the strongest GVG class right now, followed by probably GS Dagger, something like here. I think Staff Dagger deserves a better spot as well, so I'm gonna be putting somewhere here. I think this is pretty solid. SNS Spear, I want to put something like here. So that's why I put something like here. Yeah, I like how this is turning out actually. One Dagger, I actually want to put something like here as well. I think I like this formation. Yeah. I think then we can start consolidating a little bit, moving this a little bit further, and moving this... I think they're in similar cases, they're very similar. And I think the Bow Dagger can be around the same situation, like here. The one spear can be pushed a little bit back. SS Bow, I think it can be pushed a little bit back as well. It's not terrible. I think the one X-Bow has some niches here, same for this. SS Dagger is better than those, I think. Okay. GS X-Bow, so niche though. No, this one can stay back for now. I mean, this one is useful if you're a solo player, but this is not the point of this, so I'm gonna be leaving it back here. This one's gonna be left back here as well. This one as well, this one as well. Staff spear, probably something like this. Bow spear. I don't love any of those, to be honest. I'm gonna leave this here because I don't know. Next blue spear gonna be something like here. Alright, I actually feel pretty content with this because I think it fits really well. In the way in the middle here is the 3 classes I think are the best classes in the game right now. On top is the best single target DPS class in my opinion right now. Explode Dagger has the edge of the evasion, has a lot of single target burst, can ignore a lot of evasion because of the amount of hits it does, and it's a really strong class right now. And Spear Dagger is just pure Dagger, it's really good, has always been really good, and it's the best class probably for AoE clumps in a quick succession, right? I'm gonna drag this all the way down to ZVZ though, because it's definitely one of the best ZVZ classes and struggles a lot on GVG. Alright, I think Jazz 1 is a solid support. Staff Dagger's like overall one of the best classes for... I'm gonna organize this a little bit better here. Yeah, I think Staff Dagger is one of the best DPS classes in the game overall. Jazz Dagger is really solid as well, but it's more focused on GVG. It can be used on ZVZ by swapping some things or playing like Protecting the Zerg or maybe a flanker. It can be helpful. SS Spear, I think SS Spear deserves a bump as well. I think I'm gonna change something here in a second. I think I'm gonna put Staff Dagger mostly focus on the AoE part, because Staff, Jazz Spear is gonna be able to play on both really well, because it's more of a control / can be bruiser damage, and Jazz 1 is more of a protective party support kind of thing, can be played on ZVZ, but definitely I feel like will make the most difference on GVG, so I think this will fit really well actually. Pretty confident, pretty content with this, yeah. SNS 1, I think it's similar. Curse situation right now is a bit odd, maybe a little bit better than one Dagger I would say, but I still think it's solid. I'm gonna push this a little bit down. Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable with this. I actually think with the buff that the bow got, both Staff Liberator is better than one Staff, funny enough, because you can get more damage and it's gonna matter a lot on the AoE for the ZVZ, so I'm gonna bump it. Actually, I'm gonna bump this a little bit up for the ZVZ. It's not good in GVG, but it's really good on ZVZ. And I'm gonna bump a little bit Bow Dagger to be on the mix between those two. Alright, I'm pretty content with this shard actually. Okay, that's my feelings right now about the game. I can be right, can be wrong. It's just how I feel based on status that I knew before the legendary, and how I'm feeling based on status right now post legendary. I think everything that has evasion got hit, but at the same time it got buffed because it can hit more. So like evasion is getting a little bit irrelevant, but the dagger still have a lot of tools that make it relevant. Let's say like that. Like even if you don't have the evasion from the dagger / crossbow, I guess, but mostly the dagger, you have like invisibility, you have smoke, you have gap close with shadow stab, you have the silence, the bind, the prone, so it's just that solid of secondary weapon, right, for DPSs. So there's not much you can run from the daggers, that's why it's everywhere. But yeah, I think this is how I feel about the game right now. Thank you for watching, sorry for the long video, and see ya!